So tell me if this has ever happened to you. You might have family out of town, you might be visiting friends, and you have a limited time that you're there, and you have all kinds of things you want to do, but the people you're staying with have expectations that you will spend time with them. And so you end up doing a few things that maybe you don't want to do, accommodating the people that you're staying with because you feel obliged. Does that ever happen to you? If it does, I hope that what I have to say today will be of help. Hi, everybody. I'm Ricki Heller. I'm a candida coach, and I help people on restricted diets learn to love their food so that they can focus on healing their bodies and actually enjoying living their lives even as they heal from candida. So, I was thinking of this topic because I recently, had a friend who visited, and I knew that her time was very limited. We managed to get to see each other, which was great, but some of the time that she was spending with the people she was staying with was really devoted to those people, and in the end, she hardly had any time to do what she wanted to do, even though she was here for a whole week. And so I know this happens to a lot of us. I travel, I have family out of town, and sometimes you end up being doing things that maybe weren't your first choice, or you wish you would have had more time, and you end up coming home feeling depleted and tired and like you didn't do the best thing for yourself. I'm just going to check quickly and see if we got anybody, just to make sure that I'm actually broadcasting. And that can be really hard on your own health. So, my question is, where do you draw the line between accommodating what other people expect of you? And, clients will tell me this all the time, that they have families who have expectations of them. And in a way, they might even resent it a little bit because they wish their family wouldn't put so many demands on them because they're not feeling their best, because they're trying to get over candida. And it can be very draining. And so this happens a lot, I think. And so my question, as I said, is where do you draw the line between accommodating other people in your life and doing what is best for your own health? And why do we feel so obliged to accommodate those other people? Well, if you're a woman, that's perhaps one reason, because so often women do feel like they are responsible for the other people in their lives. But I think there has to be a line drawn when it comes to your own health. And part of the reason we feel that way is because, of course, we care about these other people, right? But I guess the question to ask yourself is, are you doing things to your own detriment? So for me, if it's going to impact your own health, that's where I would say you really need to focus on what's going to be best for you. And I think for so many women, the problem, or where it becomes a problem, is that we begin to feel like, well, we're being too selfish. Who am I to focus on what's important to me? Isn't this also important to another person? And I guess, again, if it's going to be harmful to you, then you don't want to do something. But of course, if you're going to be harming the other person, you have to balance how that would work. So one of the things that I ask myself is, if someone outside of my close circle were to ask me this, how would I feel about it? Because so much of the time, the reason we're doing something is because we're concerned about the other people's feelings. And if it's someone who's important to us, of course, their feelings are important to us. But if it's someone who is further away from our heart, then that might be a more objective way to assess whether the activity is something you want to do or the action is something you want to do. So just as an example, um, when you're visiting someone and you have limited time, and there may be things that you need to do just for your own, peace of mind, relaxation, so that you can be in a good, healthy frame of mind, ask yourself, if somebody that wasn't that important to me, like maybe, that Facebook friend that you haven't actually seen in 30 years, said, hey, let's get together for dinner tonight. How obliged would you feel to do that? Or would you be willing to put yourself first? And so we need to weigh where those options and what is going to be better for us. And I think sometimes doing the thing that's better for you personally is actually going to allow you to serve those other people even better and to have a better relationship with them. So I just want to give an example, because I was thinking of a client of mine, and what happened with her was she was on a medical leave because of her candida. She had lots of symptoms and she just wasn't feeling well. So she left work for a few months. And she had a very long-term marriage with a dear husband who loved her dearly, and she loved him dearly. He was a very supportive guy. And so while she had been working like crazy over the previous 20 or so years, she had been um, spending more hours outside the home because he had a business that he could run more from inside the home. So her husband had done all the cooking for like about 25 years. And now that she was taking the time off, she felt really obliged to do the cooking, to prepare the meals, because she was going to be the one at home now. And she wanted to basically repay her husband for all that wonderful time and effort that he had put into the relationship. And she felt so guilty. And so, even though some days she was really busy, she had appointments with her healthcare providers, or she was just doing things that she had designed to try to help herself heal. And it came to the end of the day and she was really tired. And actually, she actually hated cooking. She didn't enjoy it at all, but she forced herself to cook. And what ended up happening was she actually, I think, stalled her progress in her health. And so when we were talking about it, one day I just mentioned, well, why don't you ask him how he feels about it? Like if he minds doing the cooking. So they had a whole conversation about it. And he was like, no, I don't mind at all. I just thought you wanted to do the cooking, but I'm happy to do the cooking. So he went back to doing the cooking, and her mental state and her physical state improved dramatically. And her husband didn't even care. So sometimes we're really reading into what other people are requiring or expecting of us. And so I think we really need to learn to assess what we need for our best health. And I'm talking about mental health and physical health, and to understand that other people's expectations aren't our responsibility. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow for many women out there, but you might be surprised that when you actually put your needs forward, and I don't mean in a way that harms or overlooks anyone else's health or requirements, but there are things that you can do for yourself that aren't getting in the way of someone else. As an example, if I'm staying with my family for a week in Montreal, I don't live in Montreal. If I'm staying with my family for a week in Montreal and I want to have 2 nights to myself, I'm just drawing that number out of the hat, because so often one's family, your family might want you to stay with them every single night. That is not excessive, in my opinion. You're still giving your family time. It's not harming them for you to go off with your friends. And so if you find yourself in that kind of situation, sometimes it's more important for you to say, look, this is what I need for me, and just allow them to deal with their own feelings on their own, because that's not your responsibility. And again, I know this is not easy for a lot of people, but you have to draw the line where it's actually detrimental for your health. And for so many of my clients, they are not able to truly start to heal until they start recognizing what they need to do for themselves and putting themselves first in some situations. And that's not being negligent as a parent, that's not being negligent as a child or as a neighbor or as a friend. That's simply allowing yourself to be at your best so that you can then better interact with those people. So I hope that's helpful. And again, really, it comes down to trusting that you are going to do the right thing for yourself, and that as a kind and loving person, you are not going to do something that's hurtful to someone else, and trusting that you would not do that, and allowing yourself to put yourself first in those situations. So I'd love to know what you think about this. I'd love to know if you've ever been in one of those situations where you ended up agreeing to something that you didn't really want to do, and in the end, it was detrimental for you. And were you sorry that you did it, or did you find a way to work around it? How do you deal with those kinds of situations? All right, everybody, I also wanted to let you know, because this is one, I think, of the keys for healing Candida and really learning to stick with it for the long term. So I'm actually offering a free masterclass called The 5 Steps to Stick with It While Clearing Candida and Still Loving Your Food, Reclaiming Your Health, and Loving Your Life Again. So I'm really excited. This is next Thursday, September 19th. I really hope you will join me. To sign up, it's a free class, totally free, and it's also live. So I am going to be there speaking live. I would love to chat with you. I'd love to answer your questions and finally actually meet some of you guys live online. So please do sign up. It's at rickiheller.com/stick with it. 3 words, stick with it, but written as 1 word. Okay, everybody, I hope to see you there. Let me know if you have any comments or questions in the comments below, and I'll be sure to answer them. And I'll see you again soon. Take care.